Well, hello and welcome to Little State Big Voices with myself, Shahida, and my fabulous co-host Tracy. How are you?
Hey, hey y'all, I'm good. I'm back in town.
You back in town? Yeah, you had a nice little excursion. Where'd you go?
I went to New York City, which is a thing that I used to do way more often, but literally New York, we want in your firstborn to have just a couple of nights there. So I
This
don't
is
do it
true.
like I used to, but
Mhm.
y'all know every year I go to this one particular event every single year. It's called the Moth Ball. And so that happened last week and it was epic. They honored some just really incredible people. One of them being Roy Wood Jr., who's a comedian. You know I love a comedian.
Yes,
So
you
he
do.
he received the Storyteller of the Year award and it was fabulous. Fabulous people, fabulous eats. I
Mhm.
mean, what can I say?
Yeah. That sounds like it was a good time. You kind of like skipped over, like use this like celebrity hopping, but be modest. That's fine. But
No,
brag
like
a little, sis. Brag a little. You had a good
so
week.
so the thing about the Mothball is that it's in conjunction with the Moth podcast. So the Moth podcast and the Moth radio show, if you've never heard of it, just go on themoth.org. You can hear and see all of their podcasts. It's so much more than rubbing elbows with celebrities. So I try to like, although I want to put emphasis on how amazing that is, of course, because you're up close and personal with those people. It's also the fact that it's a fundraiser for this really amazing thing, which African people have been griots for years. Like that's for centuries, really, right?
Mhm.
Storytelling and oral tradition is just kind of our jam and our thing. But the moth brings it to people every single week in the form of a podcast. So and they actually just have a new head of the moth and she's a black woman, so that's really exciting for me. Like I'm really excited to see them turn the reins over to this really incredible black woman. So yeah, it was fun. But met Roy Wood Jr. in person. I also got to see again Erica Alexander, who people may know as Cousin Pam. That was really exciting. So just lots of good things. Who else did I see? There was the woman who, that movie Is God Is, the one that Vivica Fox in, that
Yes.
is in that everyone's kind of like, oh my gosh, this movie looks incredible. Can't wait to go see it. So the woman who greenlit that film also received an award
Mhm.
that night. So yeah, just
Do you recall her name? Is it the author or she's just the producer?
no, she's like the head of Orion Studios. So
Okay, okay, yeah.
yeah, but because my memory ain't shit, girl, I'm about to look it
No
up.
worries. No worries. I get it. I get it. That's good. I do wanna see that. I actually was going to see it later this evening, but I can't do it. But, yeah, it looks really good. It looks different. The
It does.
storyline looks really like I'm like, when I first saw it come out, I was just like, "Ooh, no." And then I just kept hearing more about it, and then I, kinda wanna support the team, so I said, I wanna go and see it in the theater." So, sometime this week, I'm definitely gonna check it out. It'll probably be Tuesday.
Oh, yes, get that listen, I know what I know what you're doing there, and I like
But
it
it
for
does
us.
look good. It counts. Regardless if it's Bargain Tuesday, it still counts.
Exactly. So it's Alana Mayo. And
Alana
and
Mayer,
and it was
okay.
at the tip of my tongue. I knew her
Mhm.
name was Alana. I'm like, what is her last name? Alana Mayo, who is the president of Orion Pictures. So I just want to emphasize this is not just like, not just I don't want to say just a producer, but just to say like how high up on the food chain this woman is. She's incredible. So it was exciting to be in the room with all those amazing people.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
great. That's really
Yeah.
awesome too, and to make those kind of connections too.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything that exciting. I didn't meet any
You were just
celebrities.
saving the world.
I well, we did have our lobby day, which, I helped put together at the State House on Thursday, actually, and it went really well. A lot of people showed up going to talk to their senators and their representatives, and if you don't know what Lobby Day is, it's usually a particular organization will want to focus on a certain bill, and of course, we're focusing on the Voting Rights Act. So it was me and a couple of other organizations, Common Cause leading the way, Rhode Island Coalition of Black Women, the Women's Fund, the Women's Policy Institute. What is it? There's a couple others, and I'm sorry if I can't remember them all. So we had this particular day. I made these fans, right? So, and they turned out to be such a big hit. And I should have brought one in because I had a couple left. But so I made these fans because we all know the Voting Rights Act, began in 1965, was signed into law in 1965. But before then, we had the march in Selma. And unfortunately, we're still marching. And
Yeah.
they actually did another march in Selma because the South is going to be decimated by this bill, or by what the Supreme Court has done and taking away federal protections. So I made this fan because it is reminiscent, in my opinion, of the history of the Black church and what they did to help secure civil rights. And
Yeah.
so on the fans, I made two, but I have a picture of like police officers beating down protesters, and then
Mm.
the other one was them just marching. So it's in black and white, and then with the color, one says history repeats, and the other one says if voting didn't matter, and then dot dot dot, because they're always trying to stop us from
Why would they
voting, and
stop
that's
you?
it.
Yeah.
Right? So and it turned out to be a really a big hit. Everybody loved those everybody loved
Of
those
course
damn
they
fans.
did,
They
'cause
they were really cool.
we used to be in church fanning with our Martin Luther King fan,
Exactly.
or somebody's funeral home name
Mhm.
on the fan. Yeah,
I had
that
to
I can
explain
understand.
it to some people because I think a lot of people got it. And plus, too,
Mm.
remember, we had record heat this week. So
Oh,
Thursday, it wasn't as hot as it was earlier in the week, but it was still, pretty damn warm. So in the state house, there's no AC. They had the windows
wow.
open. We had those fans going. People were just coming. I hope everybody understood the symbolism behind it, but it was a good day, and like I said, a lot of people did show up. A lot of people did go to their representatives and their senators. It's unfortunate that we live in a state, and I'm gonna keep it short. It's unfortunately that we live in a state with elected Democrat officials who are not truly Democrats. There's a lot of old white men in these positions, and they even though they might have Democrat next to their name, they're not really Democrats. And so we really have to start thinking about and paying a lot more attention to who we put in office. And a lot of times we just look at the D, we just look at the R, and we keep it going.
Yeah.
And these elected officials are really beholden to corporations. They're really beholden to PACs. They're not beholden to the constituents in their districts. And we miss out because they're working for a different check than the one that we pay them for. So I'm
Yeah.
going to start really focusing in on that. I went back into political writing this week, so I've been busting my behind. That's all I did yesterday. And I have a couple of different places that have asked for the article. So we'll see. But I really do want to kind of outline how we all have to pay attention to these local politicians because they are effing screwing us hard.
And
It's not
and
fun.
you were hanging out with David Morales, who brings this to our
Oh,
attention
yeah, I
all the
forgot.
time.
I did
Right? So you hung out with him. So if I had been here on Tuesday, I would have been right there with you, girl. But I
Mhm,
knew you were holding it down. But David Morales talks about this situation where, people are literally being bought and sold. And again, they don't necessarily represent or reflect what we really need as the people.
mhm.
So you were with him on Thursday. So talk to us about how things went on Thursday night.
That was Thursday night. Okay, so I know I was at 3 events, and you know how I am. I you could one thing a day.
Okay, A. Marie, is this one thing?
One thing. And so we did the lobby day, and I was there until 6 p.m. I've never stayed at the State House that long. And then after that, I went to an educational event, which was really very good. And I wish I had like taken a little bit of notes to give a recap on what it was, but it was like focusing on teachers and getting them together. And it was really good. And then I went to karaoke with the great David Morales. And it was a scene, ma'am. It was a scene. It was this little place called the Boombox, which I had no idea was like really right down the street from my day job. And I went in there, and it feels like it fits like maybe 10 people. There was way more than 10 people in there, and they're singing themselves away. And a lot of people, I love David Morales. I'm gonna just come out and say it. I know I'm with the coalition. I probably shouldn't, but I love that man. I am very impressed by what it is that he wants to do for the city of Providence. And even though I cannot vote in the city of Providence, what happens in Providence affects every other city. It is the
Mm.
capital city. So of course, whatever happens here or whatever happens there, it affects all of us. So I talked to him, and hopefully we will be planning a forum with him and Mayor Smiley very soon. I hope that comes together, comes to fruition. And we also had David Smiley at a an event too. So can't cannot say that I haven't spoken with him either. And yeah, I'll leave that.
Brett Smiley?
Brett Smiley. Yeah, I'll leave it at
Okay. I'm like, well, who is David
that.
Smiley? He got his brother involved? Like, I get it, girl. I get it. I'm there for you. And I personally, as well as my entire household, can vote in the
Yeah.
city of Providence. So don't worry about it, girl. We all gonna vote for you. We're gonna you can vote vicariously through
Thank
my
you.
family.
Thank you. And then I always say, because the one thing I am terribly mad about is what they did to Kennedy Plaza. That was my spot back in the day. In the summertime, summers downtown were spectacular. And now it really is like just a drug den. It's sad how it went from, I get COVID happened, but a lot of other places were able to bring back the vibrancy. Why is downtown Providence not vibrant and thriving and full of fun? That's the thing, where are the food trucks? Where are the concerts? Where are the beer gardens? I mean, it's great that we can go to the bridge and do all of those things on but that pedestrian bridge, but right downtown in the hub, you should have that. And it's really horrible that we don't have that anymore. So
And
that
more
was
importantly, like, sorry to cut you off, like, what are
no.
we doing about these unhoused people and these people who are struggling with mental health and drug addiction? Like,
Yeah.
more importantly, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
the way we get to bringing back that vibrancy of Kennedy Plaza is to fix the broken system that
Mhm.
has these people, displaced and basically uncared for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it was an interesting week. And do you want us to tell 'em how it topped off? Because I wasn't going to go, and I'm glad that it wasn't you, not Tracy. Teresa asked if I was gonna go to the because I wasn't. I seen it there, and I had already planned out my entire day because I knew I had to write these articles, and I knew I had things that I needed to work on. And I'm like, but that would be a nice little break.
mhm.
That would be a nice little break, and it would give me something to look forward to in the evening. So I woke up at like 7 yesterday and started working, and I worked from 7 till 5 o'clock. This
You needed that break. You needed that break.
I did, and we went to go see, Jess the Mess. What's her name? What's her full name? Jess?
So we went to see Jessica Moore,
Okay.
aka Jess Hilarious. So she's no longer Jess with the mess.
Oh, she's not?
That
'Cause that's what I
she's
listened to.
Yeah, so people may know her as Just with the Mess, but part of her evolution, which is one of the things that I admire so much about her, is that she's leaving the mess behind her. And
Mm,
she's evolving as an entertainer, as a parent, as an
mhm.
author. So Teresa reached out to you because how Teresa, who lives in Boston, knows more about what's popping in Rhode Island than I do and you do is crazy. But anyway,
But I knew she was going to be there, but it just wasn't because you love comedy, and
I
I keep
do.
saying I need to go to the Comedy Connection because the Comedy Connection is really it's a great little intimate space if you wanna see, some of your favorite comics up close. I love the intimacy of it. I don't like being on the stage where I was, but it wasn't bad. And
We
Tracy
had
picked these seats.
we had Shahida in like on the stage,
I was
literally.
almost in this guy's lap.
She was in the act. She might as well had just been one of the opening acts because that's how close to the stage Shahida was. I was right across
You
from
was
her
right
though.
across, so you were close too.
So when I say Teresa, friend of the show, knows more than I do about Providence, I heard about the comedy show, but I had no idea about the book signing that was
Mhm,
happening earlier in the day until Teresa told me about it. So either I saw it and it went over my head or
mhm,
I didn't see it. But Teresa said, why don't we make a day of it? And I was like,
mhm.
you say less. You know, I like to be outside.
Mhm, mhm.
So at 1 p.m. we went to Riff Raff Bookstore, which that's another conversation. I cannot believe
I can't believe you never been there.
I've never been in there because I've been missing out, obviously. Riff Raff is an incredible bookstore right here in Providence. I mean, excellent books. I saw a bunch of books we have read for book club in
Mhm,
there.
mhm,
And in addition to that, there's a bar. Like,
mhm,
how have I not been there before? So there's a bar that serves alcoholic beverages, and they actually have a bakery and a coffee bar as well. And it's just a really cool space. Long story short, Jess Hilarious, which is what she goes by now, she evolved her reputation as Jess with the Mess, and she even had a podcast for a little while called Carefully Reckless. So that was like part of her transition away from the mess
mhm,
and saying, I'm going to be reckless still, but
mhm,
carefully. Like I'm going to be intentional. So she was there to promote her book, Till Death Do Us Parent by Jess Hilarious. And when I tell you,
mhm,
this book, the cover alone had me. And so she's the least pretentious comedian or person I've ever met that has any type of entertainment background. When I tell you she's so authentic and so genuine and so warm and welcoming. When we got there, she was sipping on some tea because she had done 2 shows on Friday night and this is now Saturday morning. She was preserving her voice. She had her cup of tea going and she said to everyone, I will be right with you guys. Please, just bear with me. She explained to us, that she was taking a little bit of time and wasn't quite ready yet. And then after that, she started, but it wasn't like I don't even know how to explain. It felt like you were just sitting down with someone and having a conversation. That's how intimate it was. She took questions from us as the audience, which was really great. And, we were just having a good time talking to her. So basically the book is about her journey co-parenting. So she's co-parenting with her son's father. Her son is 14. She's now married to another man and has a 1-year-old daughter, but she's just talking about how much it took to get to the place where she could co-parent and actually call this man who if you follow her, Rome, he is now not just her co-parent, he's her best friend. So she talks about things like there's some stuff on the back of the book, like little notes she wrote to herself, like pack the bag knowing it's not coming back. Now, as someone who yourself, right, you raised children with someone that you were no longer married to or no longer in a relationship. Can you identify with that? Like packing a bag, knowing some of that stuff, and maybe the whole bag is not coming back. Another note says, explain it slow for him because it's not sinking in there. Or
mhm.
let's say, let's see, swallow your pride and ask for help. We are a team. So little notes like that to herself. But she just talks about how she went from, having maybe strong dislike for this man to actually being able to co-parent and be best friends with him. And it's not just her relationship with him, it's her relationship with her entire family and how the village helps to raise this child. So it was a great time. And then we hung out in Newport a little bit. Teresa and I killed some time. And then we shot back over to Comedy Connection for 7 p.m. to catch her first show. And I was not disappointed. That was an amazing show.
It was, it really was.
Can I ask to pause right here?
Okay, um,
Sorry. I think
well, we're back. Tracy had to save her cat. She said, hold it 1 minute. Let me go save this heifer." What
what
happened?
the comforter was moving and I
Mhm.
was like, why is the comforter moving? Like, please let it be the cat under there and not like a mouse. Because if it was a mouse or a rat, I was going to just die on live
A
podcasting.
mouse, I would've freaked out, but a rat, we would've burnt the house down. The bedroom
I've
gotta go.
never seen her do that before.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, whatever. Vatani.
But let's go back to Jess's book really quick and
Yes.
the co-parenting thing, because I did used to follow her like, years ago when her little boy was little, and she would often talk about Rome, and the relationship that they had, and it was growing. Sometimes she would be pissed. So she was
Yeah.
very candid about the relationship, but I always thought, this is how you get through things. I always respected her for maintaining that relationship. I don't know, like, why they broke up or, what
Mhm.
happened, to for the friction, but she worked through it, and I loved seeing her do it on her page at the time. Some of the skits were really funny that she would do about him, and it's something that, you know, especially women who go through a divorce or you never marry and you all have children together. I and I know you wanna go into something else really quick. I just wanted to bring up this
No,
really
break it
fast
down.
because as I was working earlier this morning, I said, "Let me put on some background stuff." I'm gonna put on some background stuff. Okay, we're back again. I had to get Tracy in the middle of the frame because I don't want people to say they can't see her beautiful face, only see half of it. It
The
wasn't
things
me.
we do to bring y'all a good production. Don't say we don't think about our audience.
So what I was saying was I was as I was working, I have background noise. And you guys know I was watching Unexpected a couple of weeks ago and about a month or so ago. And I'm like, I'm not gonna finish it. This is trash. But today I said, let me just have it on in the background because I didn't want anything that I was gonna really pay attention to because I was working. But I started paying attention. And we were talking about toxic mothers last week.
Mhm.
And the parents on this show are all basically all questionable except for maybe 2, a father and then this other woman who her daughter was a lesbian and ended up having, but anyway, she had a kid. But anyway, but there's this one particular parent, and I can't remember her name. Her daughter's name was Isabella. So Bella. And this woman consistently tried to sabotage this girl's relationship with her baby's father. Now, the baby's father needed a job. There are things that needed to be done, but they both, I think, were 17 or 18 years old, but they needed more support from both of the family members than anything else. And one of the things that his family, they were all out of pocket. But let me get to Bella's mother and why she was so toxic. So
Mhm.
she had other children, and it, from what it sounds like, she didn't have very good relationships. So I'm watching the show, and I'm like, this woman is actively trying to turn this boy away from being a parent. So whenever they would have a problem, she would just jump on it like a fucking lion. Like she was just so negative. You shouldn't want to be with him. He's no good. He's 18 years old. There is time. And with the right conversations, with the right support, he could be better. And so she went all the way up to the end of her pregnancy, arguing with this boy. And that made the girl very manipulative too, because her mother was allowing her to use the child as a bargaining chip for you either do what I tell you to do or you can't see your child. Very
Wow.
immature. And the mother was, actually pushing her to be that way. So the guy went, I think, 2 months without seeing his kid. And then finally he called and was like, I want to see her. And the girl was afraid to tell her mother that he wanted to have her, wanted to see the baby. And when she did, the mother was just like, that's what you're gonna do? He's never gonna change. He's never gonna be the person that you want him to be. You're just gonna get your feelings hurt. I mean, just and it reminded me of when you hear some women say, women, your mom sometimes can be your biggest op and be jealous of you. And I'm thinking that woman, if he steps up and be a good father to that child, she will be jealous, not happy. She will be jealous that her daughter has found somebody that will at least be a father to the child. So anyway, against my better judgment, they did get back together. He did get a job. He's making good money. 10 months later, he, they are engaged. She has
Okay.
no relationship with her mom, and her mom says that, she threw her out after she told her he could see the baby, but he can't come here in my house. Well, ma'am, Make it easy. Make it easy. So she threw the girl and the baby out when the baby was, like, 2 months old, and she hadn't seen her, and again, like, it was 10 months later, so she hadn't seen her and anything, and then the girl calls her, and it's about to be the little girl's, 1-year birthday party, and she's like, "I'm not gonna invite you to the party because we need to work out some things," and her mother was just she don't care. She did not
Wow.
care. So toxic. I've never seen any parent on that show, well, that's not true, but she was very toxic, extremely toxic, and it just reminded me of the conversation that we had last week about some parents, but this one being that she didn't really want her daughter to be happy. She wants her to struggle. She wants her to have a bad relationship with this man, She was feeding off of it like a vampire. It was crazy to see.
That's so that's so terrible, and that's like one of those generational curses that hopefully this young woman is going to break. And so when we were having the dialogue yesterday, we were talking about how it's not just the parents, right? It's not just the mother and father of the baby, it's the extended family. It's the
Mhm,
grandparents, it's the aunts and uncles, the cousins, the nieces and nephews, all of that. It's an ecosystem that if it operates properly, enriches the child, right?
mhm,
So a mother like that trying to discourage her daughter from at least having a healthy co-parenting relationship, thank goodness the girl, used her own discernment or she was persuaded in another direction, however you want to look at it. Because at the end of the day, that's the child's father. And if there's not physical abuse, or reason to keep him away from the child, why would you keep him from bonding with his infant for the first couple of months of life? That's the baby getting to know their parents' smell, their
mhm.
voice, all of that. And there are some reasons, like someone's deployed or something like that. You don't get to spend time with your baby because maybe the father's away, for whatever reason. But if the father is right there, you know, or the other parent is right there and these are the times you need to be learning how to parent from day
Exactly.
one.
Mhm,
So that woman sounds, like you said, very manipulative. And she clearly was starting to get in her daughter's head and to brainwash her into thinking you don't need a man, probably wanting her daughter to lean more on her and also identify with whatever struggle she had with keeping a father figure in the girl's life. Because I don't want to say keeping a man, because it's not even about keeping a man, it's about
mhm.
keeping a parent in your child's life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was sickening, I and that's what I appreciated about, Jess and her struggle, and she was young when she had her baby too.
she was
You know, she
20.
she was 20? Okay, I thought she was, like, 19. So she was 20, and you are by no shape and form grown at 20. Your brain is still trying to figure too much out, and then throw motherhood on top of that as a person who was pregnant at 20 and had a baby at 20. It was a lot, and a husband. It was a lot, and I couldn't handle all of it? So, yeah, just seeing that and knowing that, but this girl needs therapy because
Absolutely.
even though I feel bad for the guy, I think his name was Bryce or something. Yeah, I think it was Bryce. And even though they are engaged now, he's doing his due diligence by working and he's being there for her or whatever. She was very nasty and manipulative too. And she allowed her mother to feed into a lot of that. Now maybe distance might help her grow, but there's trauma in that whole relationship between the two of them. And the mother probably does want her to lean on her more so than the other family. But again, like as a mature woman, here you are. I think the mother was like in her 40s. Here you are. The more people that love a child, the more successful that child is going to be.
Yes. That's just
Why
like
would you want to take that away?
it seems like she wants to be the center of attention. She
Yes.
wants the daughter to rely on her for everything and be beholden to her, and probably so she can further manipulate the daughter in other ways. So if she sees the daughter doing better than her, which seems like to be what's triggering this mom, is that the daughter actually may be breaking that cycle, and instead of
Mhm.
wanting that for her, she's wanting the daughter to repeat her pattern because it makes her feel bad that her daughter's not falling into the same trap that she
Mhm.
fell into.
Which is her own internal issues.
And not to say that girl's father may not have been a bad person. Maybe he wasn't a great dad, but who's to say? When you're dealing with someone like one like that and you're trying to be a father, sometimes you step away because it's so toxic that you end up leaving your child behind because of the
Mhm,
mother. And I'm not saying anybody should be a deadbeat father, but sometimes, you will walk away from a relationship and you will walk away from the child because you all cannot work it out, which is the whole point of this book. And like you said, Jess was 20 years old when she had Ash. Ash is 14 now. Can you
I
believe
know, that's
that?
crazy.
That is wild.
Mhm,
She has a 1-year-old now with her husband. The beauty of this new relationship is that her daughter, Marley's father, Chris, who she talks about a lot in the newer podcast, Carefully Reckless, he is actually helping the co-parenting of Ash in conjunction with Rome. So they
right,
have made their own male bond to the point where they can have conversations outside of Jess and join in the positive and uplifting co-parenting. Is it perfect all the time? Absolutely not. There are ebbs and flows. There are times that I'm sure they get on each other's nerves. I'm talking about Jess and Rome, but at the
mhm,
end of the day, they want what's best for Ash. And that's how they got to this solid place where they can co-parent and they can have positive and non-toxic dialogue with each other and
mhm,
raise this child. And this impacts the daughter too now. If people don't really put these things into perspective, but her 1-year-old who has a different father is also impacted by her relationship that she has with her son's father. It's
yeah,
inevitable
mhm,
because that's just how it is. Whoever's involved in your kid's life, positive or negative, it impacts all of your children. So,
and you should. I know of one relationship that I thought was just, like, absolutely beautiful when it came to co-parenting, and that was my cousin Donna, and she got pregnant young. Her and, her boyfriend Tim, they were together for for a while, but they went their separate ways, but decided to be friends, and it was tricky. It was tricky and ugly in the very beginning, but they worked their way through it. Excellent dad. But when she actually went on and had another child, guess who was the godfather of that
Tim?
him.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
and he was there for all of I mean, he's always been an integral part, not only just in their life, but in our family as well. That was no one discarded him, you know, that's when you say, like, that's when the uncles and the aunts and the grandparents, if you support that nucleus team, then it's a better outcome whether or not they stay together or not, so that was the best co-parenting that I have ever seen. I did not
Yeah.
have that, unfortunately, and I was married, did not have that co-parenting relationship. It started out fine for a while, but, for whatever it just didn't hold. But Tim, still around to this day.
I love that. And
Mhm,
and it's just something to admire, especially
mhm,
just being 34 years old, right? To
mhm.
me, that's still very young.
Yeah.
My daughter's 33, about to be 34,
Mhm,
and I still, think of that as a fairly young person for her to achieve this level of maturity in parenting, especially starting off young and just trying to
mhm,
like find her way. And then add on top of it, she's a parent who travels for work. She's
mhm.
not always there. Building this strong village around her children allows her to still be a mother that these children adore. Ash adores Jess, and that's
Yeah,
obvious
and you
from
could see that in the videos that she used to post, you know?
absolutely. So it's beautiful. And she even spoke at one point, and I think this is really important as you bring up the show that the unexpected that you're watching, and just the topic of being a parent or a mother for that matter, a good mother who is not a toxic mom. She spoke in the book and she actually had a conversation with Ashton before the book got released about how when she first gave birth to him, there were a few months where she wasn't sure she wanted to be a mom. He
Mhm.
was already born.
Yeah.
And, we talk about postpartum and things like that. And she said now that she had her daughter for, 13 years later, she has a better understanding of what postpartum may have looked like, and maybe that's what
Mhm.
she was going through, but didn't have a name for it. It wasn't
Right.
being discussed around her, and she had to work through that on her own. So even just being able to tell her son, like, hey, there was a time when I wasn't sure how I was, what kind of parent I was even going to be to you, and he said, that's okay, mom. But these are the things that impact how we raise our children, right? Is
Mhm.
how you manage through postpartum. I also identified afterward that I have had gone through postpartum with a couple of my kids.
Mhm.
And with my daughter, it was different than when I went through it with my son. With my daughter, I just wanted to work as much as possible. I
Mhm.
found an excuse to take on as many hours at work so I wouldn't have to be home as
Mhm.
much. Loved my baby, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong,
Mhm.
but there was just something there that was making me, prefer to be at work rather than to be at home with her. But I knew she was in good hands. She was with my grandmother, she was with my mom, my husband then fiance would step in, and his mother and father. And then it was different with my younger kid because it just got to the point where I went back to work and I just felt like I was doing the same cycle over and over again.
Mhm.
Everything was just rinse and repeat, and there was nothing there that was a spark of anything. And I fell into postpartum again after having him, but knowing that and having the language for it, especially with those kids being 9 years apart, that's a big,
Yeah.
there's a big step that you have to take to be a better parent. So
Yeah.
lots of gems in that book. Lot.
So much. You have to I don't know if I suffered from postpartum. Whew, I don't remember a time. But postpartum is different for everybody. I do
Yeah.
know that when I came when I came home with Michael and I took him out the car, he's still in his car seat, and he's just screaming at the top of his lungs, just screaming, screaming, screaming. Get him in the car. I get in the house, and then I put him on the floor, and he's falling out the car seat. He was, like, sliding out the car seat, and I just sat on the floor, and when I tell you I bawled, and all I kept saying in my head, 'cause and I wanted to say it out loud, I just wanted to go home to my mom. And for the first couple of weeks, I mean, I was thrilled to be, but I just really wanted to be at home. And I was jealous of my cousin Donna because she got to go home to her mom, and I had to go home to my home with my husband, and I
Yeah.
just felt like I needed somebody there with me. And then with Mia, when she was born, Michael's grandmother came and stayed with us, and I was just like, "I don't need anybody to stay with me or whatever." The best thing ever. I cried when that woman left.
Yeah.
But, but she took care of things, and it was nice to have, because I was a stay-at-home mom. So, and I think part of it too was just being after working, being at school, then being at work. I'd never been just home alone with nobody to talk to. It was
Mhm.
just me and Michael, then it was just, me and Mia and Michael, and it was different. But, yeah, I don't think I ever went through, like, a full postpartum from what people describe it to be, but I definitely it was all a learning curve, it
Yeah.
was on my own, and, yeah, I wanted to go home, girl.
No,
I
that's
wanted to
right.
go home.
And I did. When I had my daughter, I did go home. And so
Mhm.
I had the luxury of, like I said,
Your mama and
go
your grandmama?
my mother and my grandmother. So I
Yeah.
had the luxury of being able to just escape and go to work because I wasn't going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to the club." You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I was like, I can say I'm going to work and I'm working extra hours and I could like get away
Mhm.
and be around adults because I was so young, you know what I mean? It was a lot of responsibility, obviously, which
Mhm.
someone at my age shouldn't have been taking on at that time, but I was able to rely on my village that was strong. Now, the other piece of this book is her talking about how the split happened. So you mentioned like you weren't sure how the split from Rome happened. Just, and I'm using her term, Rome was a player from the Himalayas.
I thought that was it. I thought
So
that might have been it.
He
Mhm.
was outside too much, and there was
Mhm.
infidelity, and that
Yeah.
caused the break. That's another layer to parenting and co-parenting that people don't realize is such a struggle, because if there's been infidelity or trust has been broken, and then you have to deal with this person, and then you have to deal with the people they bring into the relationship, partners, all of that stuff. Like I said, to get to the level of understanding and enlightenment that Jess has is
Mhm.
just is chef's kiss. I recommend this book not just to people who are co-parenting, but maybe people who are like in a relationship and parenting, because there's still communication issues when you're even with the person and
Yeah.
you're still living with them, that when it comes to gender roles, when it comes to how you're going to raise this child, there are boundaries and things that she addresses in the book that anyone, and she said it goes for any relationship too. It's not just a parenting, co-parenting
Mhm.
relationship. Could be business partners, could be, could be co-hosts, it could be anything.
Mhm.
That, there are times when you need to strike a balance with someone, and maybe you're coming from different directions, but you have a common goal. That,
Right.
so.
And I think too, the thing is, the saying is, you have to love your child more than you hate your ex.
Mm.
You do. You have to, because if you love your child as much as you say that you do, and your ex, they might not be great for you. They might not be a good partner for you, but they're a good person and a good dad. Why do you deny that? I
Sometimes
mean,
they're not even the greatest dad. But
mhm,
like I said, if no one's getting physically and emotionally hurt, you have to trust the process.
mhm,
So, like, my dad, also a player from the Himalaya, a Rolling Stone, but my mother never kept me, that
mhm,
I know of, from my father. I always had access to my father as long as I had like consciousness of that. And I
mhm,
would, I'd be at my paternal grandmother's house, and I would see my dad, but it was his mom, it was, his sisters, it was all the cousins, like the whole family was there. So maybe some voids that my father left, they got backfilled by other members of the family. And then when he would come around, it was enough. Do you know what I mean? It was enough for me to not feel like I lost out too much. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, you gotta love your kid more than you dislike or hate this other person, because you're only harming the child if you keep them away, or if you prevent them from having access to a parent who has at least the potential to be a good parent. So,
exactly, exactly. So yeah, I, and you know how I feel about memoirs.
wait, hold up, wait a minute. So I spoke about Roy Wood Jr., right? And
Okay.
while we're on the topic of parenting and memoirs,
Mhm.
he gave away his book, which is
Mhm.
called The Man of Many Fathers.
Okay, so another
Also,
parenting book?
also about parenting. Look at this Black parenting goals. Okay. Now this man is a junior, Roy Wood Jr.
Mhm.
That would imply that senior was heavily involved.
Mhm.
When on the contrary, he had a
No.
volatile
Yeah.
relationship with
Mhm.
senior,
Mhm.
who
There's a lot of juniors out here that ain't even met seniors, so I get
And
it.
in his acceptance speech of the Storyteller of the Year award, he talked about how he lost his father at the age of 16. And so that's why he had so many other male role models, which
Oh.
gave the book its title, The Man of Many Fathers. But 16 is not enough to get to know your parent, right?
Mhm.
And his dad did many great things for the civil rights movement
Okay.
in Alabama. So he's heralded for those things, but there were times he fell short as a father.
Mm.
So again, great book addressing like the reality of growing up,
Mhm.
sometimes with a parent that didn't quite, get where they needed to get.
Mhm.
And maybe if this man had lived longer, he would have had that opportunity. But he
Mhm.
just talks about what it's like to be the son of that man,
Mhm.
and how the influence of other male role models
Mhm.
impacted him. And I'm so grateful that I got to meet these two really cool people, and that I have some great, reading material, girl, for book club,
Mhm.
as well as just for, my personal journey. Cause I can identify with both stories, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can too. I feel like too with you're saying with his father, they didn't have like a great relationship. And then here this man was like great for the community, but not really great in the home. And I think a lot, especially a lot of people who have very successful parents.
Uh-huh.
Because you think a lot of times just because somebody is in the home, I don't know what their situation is, but I've heard so many stories of kids who parents are in the home, but then they're disconnected
Yeah.
and they don't have that relationship. One of the statistics that I absolutely love is about Black men
Hmm.
because they really get the shitty end of the stick when it comes to being fathers when it statistic is that we didn't create a statistic that somebody else created, that group created, that says that out of all the groups, Black men are more, what was it? What's the thing? In their child's life more than any other group, meaning their day-to-day life. They're there for like feedings and bathtub and putting it, and they have that reputation of not being there at all.
Right.
And that's something that is often hurled at them, but we also know that just because they may not be married to that woman, that they still make sure that they have that connection with their child. And that is an actual statistic.
Right. And it doesn't mean you live with your kid. Maybe
Yeah.
that didn't work out, but it means you're involved. And something just dawned on me as we're talking about these two books. Both books were inspired by the author's sons. So
Okay. Mhm.
Roy's son Henry inspired him to write this book because he
Mhm.
wanted his son to understand why he is the father that he is, and he also wanted to reconcile his situation with his
His
own dad.
dad.
So he that helped him work through it. And then Jess was inspired by Ashton and her relationship with Rome. So both of these books are inspired by Black boys
Mhm. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
and their parents wanting to be better
Mhm.
parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those jobs that you have. It's one of the toughest but most rewarding. And if you choose not to have a child, you having a relationship with your nieces, your nephews, that too, as uncles, you just never know how you can fill out a child's life. It's just being that positive person and the parent, any parent, whether it be the father or the mother, recognizing that they want the best for that child by having all people involved is most important, in my opinion.
absolutely. No, I love it. I'm really again, I'm excited to finish both books. I started
Oh, you
Roy
started them already? You just got them, girl. You
I
you are
listen, when I tell you I got this book on Tuesday, I
uh-huh,
started reading it on the train Wednesday
uh-huh,
morning at 6 a.m.
mhm,
Just because he was also super freaking nice and genuine when I met
mhm,
him. I'm like, "Oh my god, these are the most amazing Black people that sometimes, like, they say don't meet your heroes or don't meet the people that you admire because they'll disappoint you."
mhm.
These 2 really, like, exceeded expectations for me, and it's been a long time since I held a book in my hand and read it. I love an
Oh,
audio.
yeah, that's true.
I've been working on reading, and I've been reading and I'm really enjoying. I'm actually and then I'm listening on audio to our actual book club selection this month. So I'm reading 3 books right now.
I know I haven't I am so well, I know I was busy, but the last book I did not read and I didn't listen to it on audio. And I told you and Teresa that I started Viola Davis book with James Patterson in March. And I'm still listening to, so I have to get back on my game because I started January and February off really well. I think I was 10 books a month. That was reading and audio.
Mhm.
So in March, I dropped.
Maybe while exercising, like that's one of the when I'm walking, I love to listen to audiobooks when I'm walking.
But it depends on the subject. Like I said, this particular one, Judge Stone by Viola Davis, it's good, but it takes place in the South and it has to do with like, rights and then how some of these men are treating her, white men are treating her. And it's hard for me to listen to it. So when I'm on the treadmill, I like to listen to music, not not audio. I don't even listen to podcasts because
Mm.
music makes me go longer and faster, honestly. But, if I'm just gonna do a walk, then definitely. But if I wanna run, which I like to do more so, then I'm listening to music.
I got you. I feel you. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm trying to actually read the hard copies of these books. And I'm just gonna flex on y'all right now
Oh,
and
no.
show you that my books have been signed, baby. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Signed by Roy Wood
That is an
Jr.
autograph right there.
Okay. Sexy,
I can
right?
read it though.
And signed
Oh,
by
she wrote
Jess.
really nice. I love the way she
Beautiful
signed it.
penmanship. It says, Tracy, your presence was felt at the book signing.
Yeah, she wrote really nice.
Her
She's good
penmanship
writing, yeah.
is beautiful. She took the time to ask everyone, how do you spell your name?
Yeah.
And she wrote a personalized note to everyone. And now, mind you, they might be little canned ones she already got
Mhm,
and
mhm, that's
locked and
fine.
loaded. But
Mhm,
I felt like she poured that out just for
mhm,
me. So
mhm,
again, really, really love these two particular comedians because they're
mhm.
both comedians.
Yeah.
And you can follow them on Instagram literally at their names, at Jess Hilarious and at
Mhm.
Roy Wood Jr. No S on the Wood Jr. But great week. I'm excited for everything that you've been doing politically for us. And I know there's more to come. So we always repost those things on our socials because we want you to come out and to understand your rights when it comes to everything because so much is changing. So much is changing. And if you are not positioning yourself, you're going to get left behind when it's time to make choices and decisions for
Yeah.
yourself, for your community. So,
Can I just do a quick shout out?
yeah,
I love that necklace.
this one,
Yes, sis. That I really, really that's a nice choker. It's
thank you.
cute. Where'd you get that?
So now this is the
Oh god.
irony. The irony is that this is by a celebrity. It's her jewelry line. It's House of Harlow. Do you know who is
Yes, House of Harlow is don't tell me. Don't tell
I'm not.
me. I can see it. I know she's Lionel Richie's daughter.
Yep.
Nicole Richie.
Yes.
Okay.
So you would not expect this jewelry to come from I wouldn't anyway from Nicole Richie, but she had a whole line and this is an old necklace, but she had a whole Africa line of jewelry as part
Really?
of House of Harlow. That was one
And
of
I
her
like her stuff.
interpretations.
You get it at TJ Maxx and it's
Beautiful.
mhm,
House of Harlow always slaps. I
mhm,
gotta give it to my good sis, but I was shocked that she did the Africa collection because
mhm,
I don't and I know, like I know who her dad is. She is adopted by an
mhm,
African American couple, but sometimes people can be,
mhm,
they could be skin folk but not kinfolk. But I was like,
mhm,
okay, I feel like Nicole is kinfolk and she's
mhm,
Sheila E's niece. Like, girl, come on,
mhm.
you got
Okay.
the
Yeah,
African
no.
drums
Shoot,
beating
I
through
would
your
know.
blood.
I know Sheila E. is she's the bomb. Stop
Yes,
playing.
yes.
That was my dream. If I could play the drums like that woman,
So
that would have been
why are we not taking drum lessons? I also that is the instrument. If I could play any instrument, it would be drums because of Sheila E. We need to take a drum class.
okay, but you know what instrument? Okay, I definitely the drums because she gives me all the vibes. But you know what the sexiest instrument for me would have been?
But
And I might have it wrong. Is it the cello? The big one?
yeah, the cello, that's the really big one. You
Man,
want to play
I don't know if I wanna do it, but seeing a chocolate man play it.
we need to look that up. We might need to take a road trip to find a black male cellist and just go and
Is it the big
patronize.
but we saw who did we see that, and he's an official now, I think, like, in Foster Gloss or
Are
somewhere.
you talking about girl, hold on. I know his name. Big Lux.
Yeah, what did he play? He did
He's
the
a violinist.
violin he did the violin, and that was sexy as hell.
I always thought he was hot. I always had a
With
crush on
that
him.
damn cello. I mean, who did I see? It was it's 2 black men. One plays the cello and the other, I think, is playing the violin. And they were touring, but they weren't coming here. I think they were coming to Boston. That was the first time that I seen that little video, and it was about a year ago, and kept saying, "I need to follow these people. I need to follow 'em." And I went and him playing it, like, in a pair of Timbs, he looked hot as hell.
Bro, come on now. You know
Heavy in a
I
chokehold.
I am a hormonal Post-menopausal woman. Don't be talking about a man playing cello and Tim's, because now I'm like, "Baby, where you at?" After I
In the
hang up this.
hat, he had the fitted.
He had the Yankees like you.
Stop. It was and speaking of menopausal, now I think I'm past it. I
Yeah,
think I'm
post.
past it. I usually get the hot flashes in the wintertime, believe it or not. As it gets warmer, like the last 2 years, I've always had like seriously heat flashes in the wintertime. But in the summer, I seem to cool off. Tracy was on fire for a minute last night. She took that hat off. She took that jacket.
You
Sis
you
did
peeped that,
this.
right? You
You
peeped
did
it.
this.
Because what happens, and it's hot in there and we were literally part of the act because we were pretty much on the
I
stage.
was not I
So
had my
those
jacket and
lights.
my shirt on, I still was not, and a sweatshirt. I was not hot. I think that was you, sis, blowing up from the inside.
Oh, it's definitely was me. And what's funny is I keep I keep a bunch of fans. Do you think I had any of them with me? No. But I got this one. Let me see. Hold on.
Okay, Robbie. Okay, Robbie.
I got this one from Miss Pat. I have another African theme one. Oh, that feels so good.
That is
I have a
hilarious.
bunch of fans.
Mhm,
I need to just have them. Teresa bought me a fan when we went to
mhm.
Costa Rica a couple years
Yeah.
ago. I need to just have them with me. And I have a bunch of those plug-in chargeable fans. Do you think they're ever charged or with me when I need them? I need to just have one for every bag.
Oh, girl.
That's just what I need to do.
When I was going through it, I was going through it. I actually Cat bought me one for my desk, and that would help me out. And then I would steal Rose's all the time. And now she's with child, so I can't steal her stuff anymore because she's hot,
Yeah,
obviously.
so I guess during pregnancy you can get hot flashes too. I didn't even know
Mhm,
that was a thing until recently.
mhm. So
So, girl, I know we're about to wrap, but I had to Google real quick these black male cellists.
okay, you
So
found it.
so there's Abel Salaku, who's a South African cellist. He
Oh,
was on Tiny Desk. So if you want to do a tiny watch his Tiny Desk concert, you can watch
does he
him.
have a
And
partner? Because
I
it was
didn't see him with a
okay.
partner.
I don't think that was the guy.
Then there's also Sheku Kenna Mason, who performs Bach on the cello. Let me see if there's a duo.
No, they were doing hip hop on
So
the
there's black violin. Black violin, I know that they do, but I don't know if there's a duo. We're gonna find them though.
yeah, he did it was him doing the cello, the big one, and then it was his boy on the violin.
So that might be Isata and Sheku Kenna Mason.
Okay. I
And was it a male and female or both males?
both men.
Hmm. Well, we will see. We're gonna figure it out.
I oh,
And
yeah, it was a while ago that I saw it, and it just the image just stuck with me.
I'm ready for a road trip. I already inboxed our London flatmate, one of our London flatmates, and was like, "Yo, when you get better, we need to kick something off." So I already, I already got something simmering and brewing. So if we have to go across the pond or something, let's
Oh,
do
okay.
it.
I know him. I actually seen him and his sister in concert. Tanya and I saw him and his sister. They were at the Boston Symphony.
Let's go.
They were at the Boston Symphony at one point, and they were very, very good. But that wasn't who I was talking about. I was talking about the brother with the Thames.
Okay,
That
so
was sexy.
you just gotta let the algorithm do what it do.
Yeah,
We're talking about it. It's gonna pop up in your phone as soon as
and
you
I did
open your.
like those two, the brother and the sister duo. They had a really good story, and I mean, they turned the Boston Symphony out that day. It was fabulous.
I'm here for that. I'm
It
here
was
for that.
fabulous. All
Ooh,
right, so
I'm just gonna say one more thing. It's almost time for the TEDx Roxbury videos to load. Like,
okay.
and we had a young man. He played a wind instrument as
Oh yeah, I
part of.
remember you said. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So speaking of like black geniuses playing instruments, like he nailed it. As soon as that video is live, I'm gonna reshare it because it was top tier. And we made the Bay State banner. We also made, I believe, the Boston Globe as well. So there were articles about our fourth year and more to come in year five. So
Good. I cannot wait to see it. I love to see Black people on these instruments. I love seeing it. Love it.
mhm.
I wish yeah, we gotta push our children more to be in to actually play instruments to make them actually study it, and because you just never know, and they're not going to know until they're introduced to it. That's our
Mhm.
job, you know?
Yep.
I never really my children had music classes, but I never really pushed for them to play anything, so I wish I had done that.
My daughter plays violin by ear.
Y By ear? She
Yes.
never had classes? She
She
just
took
picked it up?
classes.
Oh, okay.
She went to the Conservatory Lab Charter School during
Mhm,
elementary school, so they taught them a number of instruments, but each child, well, she definitely had a violin. I think each
mhm.
child in her class had a violin, and she would listen to Jammin' 94.5, and she could play any hip hop song that came on the
I
radio
love
on
it.
her violin, and she could still
I
do it.
love it. Oh my yeah, no, they had violin and then they had piano, I think, but I didn't push it. They didn't like it and I didn't push it. That's the
Uh-huh.
thing. I didn't push it. I should have pushed one. But anyway, until
Anyway,
next time, I'm gonna
you
have to thread all these videos together.
just, Frankenstein them up together. But, y'all know where to find us. We are on social media at Little State Big Voices on Facebook and Instagram. You can listen in your ear on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on if you want to look at us with your eyeballs, YouTube, and so many other places where podcasts are heard. So now prayer hands up that this video is going to look the way our viewers want to see it on YouTube. Even if it was like a half and half like it was last week, just that was cute too. I ain't mad at it.
That was my fault. I decided to try doing all the editing on my phone. Maybe if I had a bigger phone. I mean, I have like the iPhone, I think the 16, no, the 15 Pro, but it's not that big. And I just felt like it didn't work. I'm
Just
sorry.
listen in your ear. It's fine.
So hopefully you'll see the full thing. Tracy, she got out of pocket a little, but that was on her. That had nothing to do with me. That was on her leaning.
I was doing little.
I don't know what you were doing,
I don't know what I was
but
doing either.
had to bring her back in. So that was another stop. But until next time, we will see you next week. And until then, enjoy your week and have a great week.
Until then.